What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Fourth and Wrong. I'm Tyler. This is Chris.
That's me.
It's week 3. Today is Thursday, September 12th.
That's right.
It's an interesting week, Chris. I don't really know. I feel like there's a cluster of good games at noon, and then it's just kind of sporadically maybe one or here after that. What do you think?
It's a good week for plans at night. I'll say it. It feels like there's some capabilities of leaving the house if you choose to do so at night.
You should always try to leave your house every once in a while.
Alex back here clapping in the background. So thank you for that, Tyler. But some good games though. Still, I'm excited about them.
Oh, absolutely. We've got a couple good SEC matchups. Good game on Friday, tomorrow night. So we'll get into all that. What are you looking forward to most here, Chris, in week 3?
So the South Carolina LSU game, I think, is hard not to get away from that. I think there's like some potential. There's a potential for that to be like a really good game, I feel like. And I also think that if I'm not saying this is what's going to happen, but if South Carolina starts 3-0, the expectations are going to be not like the expectations for them are going to be crazy. And then what happens at LSU? Because at LSU, then you have to start thinking about the fact that's like you have fucked up the Harold Perkins thing repeatedly. They're moving. They might move his position again, Tyler.
I saw that to star.
To star.
Yeah.
What
a career. I'm interested to see Florida.
Yeah. How is Napier going to handle that? Because he's not – there's a part of me that thinks he's going to handle it well.
No, I think he's going to start Mertz, I feel like.
Oh, he is. For sure.
Yeah.
But he said they're both going to get snaps, and it's like – dude, okay, the Lagway thing, the numbers he put up are he broke not just like freshman records. Hold on. Not just freshman records. And it's like he broke he had 456 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, no picks. He had 9 plays of over 20 yards. Like Mertz is super, super efficient, and he has a high completion percentage, all that kind of stuff. He doesn't have that kind of game-breaking ability, and Lagway does. And it just feels like Florida has a really good chance to keep this kid on campus for 3 years and not fuck this up. And there's just zero part of me that thinks they will not manage to do that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you take it somewhat with a grain of salt because it was Samford, but I don't see Mertz throwing down the field like Lagway can. He obviously doesn't have the mobility. And I mean, Texas A&M has a good defense. I hate doing the pre-planned 2 QB thing.
Yeah.
It's just, and Lagway is as raw as he probably still is. I mean, it's probably one of those things where he needs to get in a rhythm, and it's not going to happen in one drive potentially. So I think you just at this point, if you're Napier, I think if at this point, if you're Napier, you just ride with Lagway because it's your only hope, really. Like if you lose this game, which I mean they're not favored to win, but if you look like you did against Miami, then
dude, if they got fucking beat the way they did against Miami against A&M, he would make it to Monday.
Can you imagine listening to Connor Wegman in the locker room after that?
Shit, boy. Told you we gonna come down here to Florida. Shit. What? Connor with an E? Shut the fuck up.
All right. Where do you want to start? You want to start Friday night?
Well, hold
Arizona,
on a second,
Kansas State.
We can. I don't have a graphic for it yet. Fuck it. Who cares? Who is it? Kansas State and Arizona?
Yep. Kansas State. It's at Kansas State, 8:00 on Friday, Fox.
Mm-hmm.
Kansas State currently a 7-point favorite. Kansas State ranked number 14. Arizona number 20. Arizona gave up like 1 billion points in their first game against New Mexico. I think it was
very odd.
37 to be exact.
That's a lot.
But we're incredible on offense. I mean, scored 61 points, and McMillan, I think, had 4 touchdowns, like 300 yards.
300 and something, like 8 yards.
Yeah.
Crazy like that.
And then they go out against Northern Arizona, who's a FCS team, and they put up they put up 22 points.
That part is super like surprising to me.
Yeah, and McMillan had 11 yards receiving. So who knows what's going on there? Kansas State obviously had the close one against Tulane, but pulled it out last week. They're 2-0. Arizona last year undefeated as against the spread as an underdog on the road.
They were so good last year.
So what do you see this game going?
So I think that when you go back to you look at Arizona, I think that they have something that very few teams in the country have, and it's like elite level. Please tell me I put this as transparent. Boom. It's elite level play at like positions that matter most: quarterback, receiver, cornerback, and I think offensive tackle is another one. They have 4 guys that are in the top 100, and like 2 or 3 that are projected first-round picks in next year's draft. That's only because their quarterback isn't even eligible. I just think that they're going to be I think they have too many athletes for Kansas State. But I also want and here's another thing. Going into Manhattan, Kansas on a Friday night, I don't know what that means, but it's not like Arizona's coming from a league where they didn't have tough environments to go to. It's a team that played, on the road at Oregon. They played USC last year in a very, very high-profile game. Like, I want to go with Arizona here. I feel like the line itself is way too high. 7.5. There's no fucking way.
Yeah, I think I'm going Arizona against the spread. I think anytime you play against an FCS school, you're not always opening up the playbook. You might be resting key guys. Some guys maybe could have given it a go if it was a bigger game like a Kansas State. So I'm willing to look past the weird performance on offense against Northern Arizona. They were electric against New Mexico on offense.
Yeah.
I think probably get more back to that. I think Kansas State looked great on defense against Tulane. So this will be an interesting game. I think the over is something that
they should have lost that game.
Yeah, they should have. The total is 60. So I don't know. That's pretty high, but I think I'm going to go Arizona in the points. I wouldn't be surprised to see them win outright, although Kansas State at home be tough to bet against on the money line. So I'll just take the points with Arizona.
That's fair. We didn't have this game on there, but we should probably add it, which is A&M and Florida. I know we just kind of briefly talked about it. We can go there, Tyler, or we can go to Bama, Wisconsin next, because those are the graphics I have made.
All right, let's go to Florida A&M since we've already been talking about it.
Well, that one's being made right now, Dick Four.
Okay, just go there. Just go to Bama, please. God. Number 4, Alabama on the road, noon. I guess Wisconsin's probably Central Time, right? Is that an 11 a.m. game in Wisconsin?
Well, probably. I would think so. Have you been to Wisconsin?
I've never been to Wisconsin.
Do you want to go to Wisconsin?
I don't know that I would seek it out. I wouldn't say no if someone was like, "Here, you want a ticket? Go to Wisconsin." So, sure.
Me and Allie watched Top Chef Wisconsin not that long ago, and it seemed fucking awesome. Like the whole place seemed really cool. Maybe I'm an idiot, but it seems pretty cool.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure Madison's awesome.
Yeah.
Which is where this game's being played. Wisconsin is currently a 16-point underdog at home. Total is 50. So to me, and then I'll let you get to what you're feeling in this game. This feels like a classic spot where everyone's talking about how Bama looked bad last week. And they did.
Mm-hmm.
They had guys running wide open in the secondary. And as you said, if the quarterback was accurate at all, it could have been a very, very close game. It was for a lot of the game.
Yeah.
But man, Wisconsin has looked really bad in 2 straight weeks.
Really bad.
Really bad. And I think this is one of those classic spots where you're getting everybody betting against Bama. and they
The
come out
line
and
moved at all?
smoke Wisconsin. It's still at 16. It's been that way for a while, I think.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. It feels
Bama roll here.
I kind of feel the same way. I feel like, we brought this up last week. For whatever reason, there's this very weird trend that's happened. That's happened over the last however many years, where it's like, I want to say, I'm trying to pull it up right now. Bama was like 9-1 in openers over the last 10 years against the spread, and then dating back to like 2004, 2000 in season openers, they have been, I think since 2000, they were 19-1 straight up, but they were something weird like 6-12-1 or 6-12-2 against the spread. Like they just it's like a tale as old as time situation where you have like you come out of the gates looking pretty strong and they look good and they win those games, and then whatever happens in week 2, it's like this get back game where it's almost like I don't think they're overlooking people, but I think especially when Saban was there, it's one of those games that you probably like as a coach because you have like stuff to work on. So This is your last test before you get to start in Georgia prep, and you can't overlook them, right? I mean, Tyler Van Dyke can still throw the football, I would think. Phil Longo, like that's like what we saw last week early on from USF in terms of like them getting guys open deep and just running go routes. Like that's what I think. If you rewatch like the film breakdown of last week, one of the things that they were doing was they were running just go route after go route after go route on the outside, and they were doing the same thing that Tennessee does, where it's like we have guys that are just right off the side of the field, like past the hashes, right? And then they're like substituting them late. You're not able to like substitute. Like Bama wasn't able to substitute, I guess, at the same time. I don't know. But their defensive backs were just fucking gassed, and they just kept running them and kept running them and kept running them. Phil Longo has done that before at Ole Miss. I don't know if he has the guys to do it at Wisconsin. I just expect a more focused team to come out there and like for 60 minutes of football, put somebody away.
Yeah, I mean, the defense is still good. I mean, granted, there's been some probably breakdowns in focus or potentially not knowing the playbook, but you don't want to have guys streaking wide open. Right. But I mean, I think the defense will still play. And I don't know that Wisconsin's offense is very good at all. So to me, this is just about Bama's offense and continuing to figure out the O-line. Is Wilkin Formby playing this week?
Wilkin Formby was found. Never mind.
No,
I don't think he's playing this. I mean, like, I don't know if Caden Proctor is back yet. So if he's not back, Formby is going to play. But like, dude, I can't think of a worse setup for him because they kicked out. What's his name? 52. I can't think of his name. Tyler Booker out to left tackle. He was fine. I think he gave up like 2 pressures the whole game. He's naturally a guard, so that's not bad. Formby obviously had a very tough game. There was also some ticky-tack. Well, there's one ticky-tack call on him, but he was getting beat all game. So Luke Fickell is a good defensive coach. Like I'm sure he'll have a scheme for him. The 6 plays that Bama ran after they took Formby out, they ran 6 total plays. They scored on 3 of them. So statistically about as bad as you could look for Formby. I'm sure he'll play because I think at the very least you might need both those guys against Georgia, and you're going to need to get some confidence back in that kid because you cannot throw him into the fucking fire or to the wolves when they go play Georgia. You just can't.
So what's the gut feeling on what we're going to see out of Bama on Saturday?
I think you might see some issues early. Oh, am I lost? No. Yeah. Hold on. You can hear me, right?
I can hear you. I just can't. You're frozen. I can't hear you anymore. All right. This is sick. Yeah, okay. So we'll get Chris's thoughts on Bama whenever he comes back. In the chat, we got 300 people. Oh, hey, there he is.
What the hell? I've been doing this all day with no issues.
I don't know. So gut feeling on how Bama plays?
I think they come out stronger. I think you'll see less confusion early on. I think they'll be a little bit more focused. Really, I think one thing that's going to be a huge thanks, Willie Gray. Huge benefit is they need to get some turnovers. They need to turn over Wisconsin early and get them get the ball back. I think a lot, and then I think they'll be good. I think they'll win. I think they'll cover. I think it'll be a much better performance than you had week 2.
Okay. Your video keeps freezing.
I don't.
Are you there?
Well, I think it is the Wi-Fi.
Oh boy.
Maybe it's the computer.
I can hear you.
Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't understand. Did you hear me the whole time?
No. Okay. I mean, I heard you just then, but before that you were frozen. I don't know. Your video keeps going in and out as far as freezing.
Great. All right. Well, if it keeps going out, we'll just fucking quit. Who cares?
All right. Did you make the Florida A&M?
I did. There you go.
All right. So this game, 3:30 in the Swamp, ABC, Florida, 3.5-point underdog at home, total 48. It does sound like Mertz is going to be the starter. I'm sure Lagway will play. A&M, I mean, looked pretty good in the Notre Dame game, at least defensively. I could definitely see this being a lower scoring game, so I'd almost look at the under in this game. Even though 48, I feel like that high. I just don't see how, unless they leave Lagway in for more than like a drive and then sit him and then a drive. Like, I don't know what their plan is, so it's kind of tough to bet on this. If I had to pick a side, I think I'd take Florida plus the points and then the under.
Yeah. Here's my hot take for this game. It plays out the way we thought the way we thought Florida Miami was going to play out. Like I think that it's a much closer game. I think it's two more evenly matched teams. I think you're right about the under. I like that play. I think the defense is going to be a lot better. Again, all eyes on Napier, all eyes on Lagway. Like Mertz did not look good in week 1. And I'm telling you right now, this is not like a Tim Tebow and Chris Leak situation, as much as they're going to want to tell you that. Like this is very much like if Lagway comes in and they're struggling on offense and he's able to get like some
Oh boy.
I just dropped a GFD.
Oh, well, I didn't hear it.
I mean, something Wi-Fi. Don't blame me.
I don't know what's going on, man. Weird. All right. Anyway, I do think that this is a situation where the teams are going to be a lot more evenly matched, and I think that you want Lagway to be. I think you want Lagway to be the guy if you're a Florida fan. But like, absolutely, yeah. There's just no excitement. Like at this point, after what we saw against Miami, because it wasn't like it was if they had lost 24-20 against Miami, and you just sit here and be like, well, you know, the thing was though, like, do you think Lagway is a true freshman? Keeps it that close? Remember, I kept saying I was like, they want this, like the same thing I would say about poker, which is like, you don't want good hands or good cards. You want easy choices. And that's an easy choice. You got your ass beat on national television in game 1. If you're going to go 5-7, if like the ceiling is still 5-7, would you rather go 5-7 with Lagway or with Mertz? And if you're Napier, like the answer is like twofold. It's like, I mean, would you rather, or doubly as important? Like you'd much rather go 5-7 with Lagway, and then be like, hey, listen, this is what we can do for next year.
Absolutely. I'll be interested to see how much play time Lagway gets in this game. I got to imagine. I mean, God, you got to imagine it's a decent amount.
Yeah,
but we'll see. All right, so you're taking Florida in the points and the under.
I am. I think it's a good pick.
All right, Georgia, Kentucky, Boston College, Missouri. Georgia, Kentucky, Boston College, Missouri. Boston College, Missouri.
I'm having a blast.
Missouri is a 16-point favorite at home. This is at 12:45 on the SEC network. Total 54. So Boston College is ranked.
It's the only ranked matchup of the weekend, I think.
Missouri's number 6. This is really the first. I mean, Missouri hasn't a lot of point yet this year. They played Murray State and Buffalo and won 51-0 and 38-0. So this is the first semi-test. I don't know. Boston College is probably getting a little too much publicity at this point for beating Florida State, who's looked terrible in their first 2 games. I'm inclined to think that Missouri rolls here. But Bill O'Brien is a good coach. Castellanos is a good quarterback. So I don't know. What are you thinking in this game?
So I need to see more out of Brady Cook, and I need to see more out of Luther Burden. Luther Burden had 3 catches for 15 yards last week. What's up, Harry Legee? Like he has been. So I remember saying this in the offseason, going into last year or the start of last year in his first 6 games or whatever. Luther Burden had 100 yards in 5 of the 6. I think he had 96 in another one. He had 7 or more receptions in all 6 games. He was averaging like 120 yards per game. And I think he had a touchdown in every single game, or in 6 or 5 of the 6, something like that. Now you look at this year, through 2 games, he's been nowhere. Like just nowhere. I think my internet's about to go out again. He has got to figure out, they've got to figure out how to get him the ball. Brady Cook, I think he was able to mask last year his inability to get the ball downfield. And so Harry Legee says he might not be 100%. And listen, here's the thing. If he's not 100%, fine. You don't have to play anybody with a pulse until October. But this game is going to be a lot tougher, I think, than Mizzou fans realize, especially, or all of us realize going into the season. Castellanos is a difference maker at quarterback. He extends plays really well. And a lot of quarterbacks or a lot of teams and defenses struggle with that. You've got a new DC in Mizzou. I think it's closer than 16.5 points. I do think Mizzou wins, but it's great that they've been able to blank 2 opponents to start the year back-to-back games. They haven't played anybody. And I just wonder what this looks like. Because, dude, here's the other thing, too. It's a 12:45 kick, so it's 11:45 in the morning. What an odd time for Mizzou to have to get up, get everyone excited, and dude, again, in typical Mizzou fashion, you're not the game of the week. No one gives a shit. You're not even on ABC or ESPN. You're on SEC Network.
Crazy. Yeah.
And you're the only team. I mean, you're gonna get fucking Stinchcomb, Alyssa Lang, and whoever that other guy is. They're used to calling like Vandy at Ezekiel Prep and Tennessee versus Tennessee Tech or whatever. Like it's just such a weird, sleepy game.
It is. It's going to be one of those that nobody's really watching, and you're going to look at the bottom line, and it's going to be tied going into the 4th quarter or something.
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see. That's one I probably wouldn't bet if I was actually putting money on it. I would not bet this game because I just don't really know. Missouri, I just don't know what they are on defense. Like, yeah, they haven't given up any points, but I mean, and then BC, they looked okay against Florida State, I would say, and then they won 56-0 against Duquesne. Duquesne is like one of the worst programs in the FCS, so I don't know, but I'll go with you. I'll take Missouri in the points, but I wouldn't. Or I'm sorry, I'll take BC in the points, but I wouldn't bet this in real life.
Yeah. Is there anything Georgia you would bet on this weekend?
I'm looking at Tulane plus 13.5 against Oklahoma.
Oh, okay.
Oklahoma looked real bad last week. And I think Tulane's really actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd probably bet this game, Georgia, Kentucky.
I agree.
Georgia is currently 23.5 at Kentucky. Night game, Kroger Field. Almost everyone walks in there and gets out alive.
Rebound game, baby.
Total 45. So,
yeah, that's. Do you think that that's more so?
I don't think this is going to be a Brock Vandergriff redemption arc here.
Sean Payton allegedly tied to an opioid scandal in part 2 of the OMG NFL series. NFL used Bountygate to cover it up.
What? Where'd you get that
Yeah.
from?
O'Keefe Media. You can trust O'Keefe, baby.
All right. Kentucky, Georgia. Yeah, so
the over-under is at 45, you said, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's more so because of how bad Kentucky's offense is or how good Georgia's defense and offense is?
I think it's about how bad Kentucky is.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean,
they're bad.
They're real bad. I think Georgia, they have a bye next week.
Mm-hmm. They do?
Before Bama?
I don't know.
Or do they? I'll look. I could just see this. Now, here's the thing. It's you gotta have to thread the needle there if you want to go to win by 23.5 and then also go like under the total there.
They do have a week off.
So I wonder if Kentucky might not score, period.
I can see that. Here's the thing, too. It's not like they'll score late because Georgia is really, really good in the second half of games, putting people away.
35-3.
Right.
Like, that's kind of something. That's what I see here. Like, it's you tune in hoping to get a good night game, and it's just a beat down from minute 1.
Yeah.
I feel like Stoops is kind of cooked this year.
I think he should have left when he had the chance.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the thing is that South Carolina game a week ago, the thing that's scary is not that you lost 31-6 or how bad the offense looked or whatever. It was the fact that they just had a complete internal meltdown was the main reason it was so concerning. Like they had one penalty in the first half. They had 11 total in the game. Like they had drives where they had 4 plays in a row with penalties, like 3 holding penalties in a row, or it was bad. Like it was a complete fucking meltdown. They've played Georgia close at times, but it also feels like it's one of those things where it's like, if Kirby wants to prove a point, he'll go prove a point. Now, here is one thing I will tell you. If you're looking for a reason to look at Kentucky, Georgia does have an off week next week. Nobody watched that Tennessee Tech game. No one's going to value any of that tape. How much are you going to put on tape before you go play Bama?
That's true. I mean, is Kentucky like that what they're relegated now to? Is like we're not going to put much tape on these these guys, and we'll still beat them by 50.
I mean, Kirby can do it to.
No, I got some
of the country.
35-3.
Yeah,
that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna have Georgia cover and go under.
34-10. Like, still hits all of them.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
Yeah, that
brings us to LSU, South Carolina.
Real quick, Harry Legee brings us up. UK did not look good last week. Dog DL will live in the backfield. It was 51-13 last season. Here's a stat I'm going to give you that's insane to me. Kentucky had 22 dropbacks for South Carolina. Carolina had some form of pressure on 20 of the 22. They only brought 4 or more guys less than 20% of the dropbacks. Like, Georgia will be in the backfield all day. Like Vandegrift will be running for his life. I just want to know how nice Kirby's going to be to Vandegrift. Game of the week?
Nice. Game of the week, maybe. LSU, South Carolina, noon. Another nooner. ABC. Columbia's going to be rocking. LSU comes to town. It's not the LSU we all know and love, but they are still ranked number 16, 1-1. South Carolina 2-0 with coming off the beatdown of Kentucky last week. But South Carolina 7-point underdog at home. Total 48.5. It's gonna be hot. It's gonna be rocking.
Or 70% chance of rain.
Yeah, or it's gonna be disgusting.
Yeah, sticky.
So, who does that favor then? If it's a muddy,
Carolina.
disgusting. Yeah, because I trust Nussmeier way more than Sellers in this game.
Mhm.
Don't trust LSU. Look, USC is a good team. LSU is right there with them. I think LSU is a better team than South Carolina.
They are.
So
I'm having a hard time with this one because it's like I give out my prediction on the show tomorrow for Locked On Gamecocks, and like it's hard not to get wrapped up in the excitement with it because it's like, you know, it's awesome that they're 2-0. They wouldn't got beaten Kentucky because no one thought they were going to beat Kentucky. I think if you asked any Carolina fan to start the season, hey, if you get out of this month 3-1, would you take that? Almost all of them would say, yeah. You got a chance to go to 4-0, and dude, all the matchups in this game for the most part involving LSU's offense and South Carolina's defense and the rain and all that kind of, and like the location, all of them benefit South Carolina. Like hear me out on this. LSU's 8-10 or 8-12 over the last since the start of 2021 away from home. They're averaging 11 points less per game on offense, scoring offense since the start of the 2021 season in games away from home versus games at home. Right? Their rushing offense, it's non-existent. It's last in the conference for rush yards per game. They're the only team in the conference. The only team in the conference that doesn't have a single rushing touchdown to start the year. You saw them try to establish a run against USC. Will Campbell, their left tackle, came out and said, we're going out there to get into a fist fight. And they got manhandled up front. They got manhandled, especially in the interior offensive line. So all of that benefits South Carolina. South Carolina so far through 2 games has the best pass rush in the SEC. I'm not saying that's how it's going to end the season, but I told you all at the start of the season, South Carolina had a top 5 caliber defense in the SEC. And people thought I was crazy, and then I was just saying because of the stuff with what do you call it, with Locked On. But here's the thing, Tyler. They turn you over. As bad as they can be, they turn you over better than any other team in the conference. South Carolina leads the SEC in turnovers forced and turnovers gained since the start of the 2021 season. That's a vanilla face. Since the start of the 2021 season with 70 total turnovers. What concerns me for LSU is it's not just the fact that they haven't thrown the ball, it's that they haven't run the ball, it's that they can't. I mean, like I told you the numbers where they're ranked, but you're against Nichols. Against Nichols last week. Tyler, they're throwing the ball on average of like 30, I think it's 37 times per game and running the ball an average of 23. Like, help me out on the math on that real quick, but it's like around 65%. Like that's not, we have not seen that from LSU. Like that's not, dude, that even Washington last year, that's like a 61% throwing the football team, like teams that we consider like an air raid thing. Beamer ball, the special teams, like that's another thing. I think like Juju McDowell being able to flip field, like their punter, Kai Kroger. Dude, Kai Kroger has completed like 8 passes in his career, 3 of them are for touchdowns, the punter. Like there's all the matchups that like there, if the rain is in like the torrential downpour, it will benefit South Carolina because the thing that South Carolina, after all the positives I just told you for them, the one equalizer that they have that is overwhelmingly in LSU's favor is their offense is terrible. Their offense is terrible. They don't run the football especially well. Lenore Sellers has been way worse than we thought he was going to be through his first 2 games. I don't necessarily see him improving a bunch against this team, but LSU on defense also isn't great. Like their secondary is not great. They lost their best defensive tackle last week for the year in an Achilles injury. Like I just wonder what the offense is going to look like for South Carolina, because through 2 games, what we've seen is a ton of spinning your wheels and sputtering, and then a couple of big plays. So, you know, I mean, like, dude, last week that game Sellers looked awful, and then the defense just dominated so much that they were able to keep him in. You're going to need to win the turnover battle again. You're going to definitely need to win the field position battle and play with a short field more often than not. I really, really like South Carolina to keep this thing close. I really do. But the logical part of me just says, like, dude, you're LSU. You have so much more talent. You got so many more players. Nussmeier is a really, really good quarterback, leading the country or leading the SEC in passing touchdowns, I think, so far. Like, how would you lose this game?
I think they should be happy it's not a night game. I think they're going to end up covering. But I agree with you. I mean, it seems like more of just a logic pick. Like LSU can't go lose this game.
Right.
Like Brian Kelly might be done if they lose this game. Not immediately, but like you're not going to have faith in him at that point.
Dude, remember what JD McKell told us on the show a while back where he was like, Brian Kelly told me flat out, he goes, I'm pretty good in year 3. And I was like, okay. Like, okay. And then, like, because here's the thing. I think the point that you made is a really good point that, like, we're so far removed from week 1 that everyone's, like, jumping on South Carolina. Let's not forget what they did against Old Dominion. And LSU they were in position to win that game against USC. But they didn't. And now you're talking about if you lose this game, which is a losable game, if you lose this game, your playoff hopes are done.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because the schedule only gets harder from here. Yeah,
right.
Because you were penciling in, not that USC is a conference game, but, you know, you were penciling in that game as a win. You pencil in this game as a win. And you still might have been a fringe playoff team because of how your schedule is the rest of the year. So you go out and lose those 2 USC games, yeah, you're in real trouble. And then I think Brian Kelly could be as well. So I'm going to go LSU. I think Kelly knows how big of a game this is. I think they probably, again, Nicholls State, like, didn't look great, but how much are you putting into the playbook against Nicholls State? I think LSU comes out, proves a point. And it always feels like when South Carolina, you know, thinks they're going to have momentum, they like fall on their face. So we'll see.
No, I'm with you. I think LSU wins. If you can get it over 7.5, I like South Carolina, but I think it has the feeling to me like it's like a very close game for most of it with a backdoor cover from LSU. But I would love for South Carolina to start out 3-0. I would love it.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
All right. So not a great slate, but I guarantee you something crazy is going to happen.
Yeah. Dude, Bama could lose.
Who?
Bama.
I guess they could.
One of my teams, bro.
Yeah. Angry Fans Hotline is back. 770-674-8233. Remember to give us a call. Leave us a voicemail. It's been fun. We've been getting a lot of good callers. So the more, put the white screen up. So, again, that number 770-674-8233. Give us a call. It's been a short pod, but not a ton of marquee games. Appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll be live for the recap on Sunday.
See y'all then.